I guess we'll call this August 6th meeting of the CAC to order then. So Dakota, can we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Committee Member Castillo-White?
Here.
Committee Member Kester?
Here.
Chair Harrington is excused. Minkoff is excused. Committee Member Stevens, sorry.
Yeah.
Committee Member Rizzo is excused. Committee Member Terrell?
Here.
Vice Chair Barney?
Here.
Committee Member Stephenson?
Here.
Committee Member Knight?
Present.
Committee Member Sanchez is excused. Alrighty.
All right, well, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will, would you like to lead us off today?
Sure. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. All right, so now for public comment on non-agenda items. Don't have anybody in the room. And it's like our only public is Paul, but we have written comment from him, so how should we handle that?
Paul had emailed me and asked if I wouldn't mind presenting his written comment, as it might be a bit much to try to follow along verbally via Zoom.
Sounds good.
You want to move on to the minutes approval?
I thought you were going to show the comment.
I'm going to, yeah. I just wanna,
Are you going to do it later?
no, I'm going to do it right now. I was making sure we're moving on to that section since we don't have any agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did receive one written public comment from citizen Paul Wilcox, and I will go through that for him. So he has written, the following is a review of the June 4th, 2025 CAC meeting minutes. And he states, I recognize that that none of these quotes are verbatim reporter quality, but having listened to the recording, they're fairly close. And his first comment is, near the top of page 2, Castillo-White suggested, utilize the city attorney for cause and effect land use case information that may affect Troutdale citizens. His comment is, I don't think being a consultant to CAC is in Mr. Trumke's job description. Under 5.B, toward the bottom of page 2, Knight listed, understand the public notice requirements and compare them with state requirements to verify CAC is meeting the requirement. Mr. Wilcox mentioned, as far as I know, CAC has no notification authority or responsibility. That lies with city staff. This one, I'd question the accuracy of the quotation as far as CAC's involvement in the process. He's just wondering if that was verbatim. Obviously, we know it wasn't verbatim, but if it was caught correctly in the meeting minutes. Further down, number 5, point B, Rizzo shared several updates, including the following: parking information at Glen Auto Park, the issues at 1,000 Acres Dog Park, TCAB recommendation to urban renewal on June 17th, fire contracts with Multnomah County. His comment is, in an effort to streamline meeting minutes, staff is omitting relevant information that makes the minutes useful. For example, the addition of only a word or two would help explain the references being made. Parking could have read paid parking or parking fee. 1,000 acres issues could have read homeless issues. TCAB recommendation could have read developer recommendation. Also, fire contract with Gresham not Multnomah County. Both fire and police were being referenced. So there was a bit of a confusion there. However, the statement that bothered me the most was the following. CAC could also work on helping Troutdale citizens pass a fire district measure because then we'll have money in the general fund to start our own police force. I don't think any committee appointed by city council has any business lobbying for a ballot measure. If anyone feels they're being misquoted in the minutes, they should say so to correct the record. Any questions or comments on those, on Paul's comment?
So I guess in that, other than the potential possible mistranslation or something for Will's statement, are these mostly just commentary on the contents, or is there corrections that?
I believe these are more commentary on the minutes and how they're being written, and commentary on some comments that were made during in the previous meeting. And then again, mainly like his last comment that he had made, that if any member feels like they're being misquoted in the minutes, please speak up so we can correct that for the record.
I'll speak to mine, the 5B. From my recollection in that meeting, my thought process was that we need to collect all the ways in which we're outreaching, and one of those is the public notice that we give for development projects. And my thought process was, while we're doing this review, we should, just to check the box, compare what the state standards are to what the city of Troutdale is doing and whether or not we've met that standard. And then it was brought up, oh yeah, we do way more than what is expected, but just in the completeness of doing the whole job, making sure we had checked that box and compared and knew what the city of Troutdale is doing for versus what the state standards are. And I don't believe I was necessarily referencing CAC as the one that needed to do the public notice. And it's possible that maybe I used the word collective we as Troutdale we, versus we, the CAC. That's maybe where the confusion came from. That's the best that I can recall without going back to the videos.
So on the first one, definitely was an opinion as far as the top of page 2. I don't know, legally, is CAC utilizing the city attorney is probably not in our format. So I would say, yeah, you're right on, Paul. Nicely done, thank you. Under 5B, I would agree with Will's determination. I think when you said we, that was misunderstood. He wasn't we as in the CAC, but we as in the city of Troutdale. And further down, he does bring out some good points about what is the minimum requirement for staff as far as minutes go, written minutes as opposed to oral minutes, and we also have the YouTube video where people can highlight that as well. And if you compared those, are they way off? Are they close? Should we compare them? And what's legally required? So maybe that's something we could look at as an agenda item. Great points. And then on the last one, I think we missed, I made a response to actually that last statement that bothered him the most. I specifically said CAC is not a PAC to Kevin Minkoff when the question came up about how we will be supporting a measure. No, CAC's role is for outreach and communication, education, information. Supporting or not supporting is a political action committee, and that's not us. So that's all I have. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
I was just going to make the comment that I'm sure Dakota could even verify is that we follow, we do all the stuff that we're supposed to. I mean, the minutes, right now, the change in the minutes is due to the state lowering the standard on the minutes. And I know that other committees have been frustrated by the fact that they aren't as detailed as they used to be. And it's kind of a little bit of a money issue that we have to decide if we're going to do that. But I know that, I think the way the minutes probably used to be done was better than they are now, but the standard's lowered, we can't help that. So, anyway, that's my comment.
Other comments? Well,
I suppose I would just also echo that sentiment that the minutes are definitely like the old days, I'll say. But I will say that having and assuming that there might be, in perpetuity, these videos staying online for reference in the future is a much better system than minutes written, where we can actually go back with that discussion, see what was discussed, and show it as, no, that's there. Not narrated minutes that somebody curated, but here's exactly what's there. And I think it's maybe one of those transitional times in our society where we're transitioning from one type of recordation to another. And it's definitely been a change for me to try to get used to.
Last comment may not have any bearing on what Paul wrote here, was what Will said. I think I touched on it last time, was that YouTube only goes back so many years, and Metro Media only goes back so many years as well. And so getting an accurate video version is very difficult. And I'm just saying, I wish the city would collect all the YouTube and archive it and keep it for informational purposes and for fact finding of what was said, if anything is needed at any time. I think that is history. I think it's important information and reference. So I really wish we had that, and I think it would be very valuable.
I guess the couple thoughts I had is like, one thing I was thinking about is the first part where there's the comment about what Diane had said. I mean, that may not be per se in Mr. Tromke's job description, but that doesn't mean we couldn't ask him to come like present or talk with us like we did with Ray Young on our journey to figure out what our purpose was and all that, as we did back then. And I guess to somewhat echo what people are saying on the minutes. You know, in the past, when we started getting minutes in this format, I was pretty against them, and I was fairly outspoken that I didn't like this, and I'm not about to jump back on that bandwagon. But the other thought I had is, I feel like to a degree, Paul just made an inference on what may have been meant by Will's comment, because even if this was a full word-for-word transcription of what was said in our meeting, it could still be hard to identify things like that. I mean, I see it as being similar to in text messaging. It can be hard to tell the context that was intended in a message because you can't hear the person's voice, and there are exceptions, like someone is said to be shouting if it's all caps and all, but I mean, you know, we do the best we can to stay accurate and get through it. I guess we review and approve these minutes then.
I would make the motion, we approve the minutes as noted.
7th.
6/4/25. Oh, review.
That's the meeting minutes, yeah.
Shelby Staffen said I will second that.
Any discussion before we vote on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, sounds like that passes. Okay. Now we have introduction of new CAC members, but one of them is not with us, so.
I think we can do the one that is with us, and then we'll we'll hold some of these things over to the September meeting.
So should we just go around and introduce ourselves then?
Have Tiffany come on up, introduce herself. She's the newest
Have
member.
a seat with us. Just come on.
I mean, you're not.
There's Joanne.
I'm the alternate, so,
Actually,
Hang out.
there's nowhere in our charter that says you can't sit at the table, you just.
Really? I'll just sit right here for now. That's, it's fine. Tiffany Long, been in Troutdale for going on, I don't know if it's 3 or 4. I don't do math in my head real quick. But I just live right up on 4th, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to get more involved. I joined the Parks Advisory Committee first. I just kind of wanted to get my toes wet because I'm in the parks every single day. And the more I got involved there, the more I wanted to be a little bit more involved. And I like that you guys are, the goal is to be outreaching in the community and letting people know in Troutdale what's going on. And I'm pretty passionate about that. So hopefully I can make it to all these meetings, and then maybe if somebody decides they don't want to do it anymore, I'll be on, have a voice, but you'll probably hear it irregardless, because I can be kind of loud. A couple of these people know. I got a neighbor and then 2 people that are on parks. So they're somewhat familiar with me, but I've had a lot of fun. I did one First Friday last year. I want to say, I think it was the first one. Was it the first one last year? June? Might have been June. And I felt like I was a little disappointed because I didn't feel like there was enough like engagement. Like people weren't very interested in talking about what was going on in the parks, or like a lot of people don't know about the parks that we have and the beautiful things that we have in Troutdale. And I was just a little bit bummed out. And I think talking to Frank, what I've realized is that the First Friday brings in a lot of people, and they're not our residents. So I'm curious about how we're gonna get to talk to the actual people that live here and play, like that are in our parks and in our city, that actually are part of the city. When we have these big events like the car show this last weekend or the First Friday, a lot of people are coming in for that, and they don't like, we just had a table for parks at Movies in the Park last week. And again, I'm not sure there was any residents that we talked to. They were all people, 2, yeah. Yeah, and they were all people that are just coming in to enjoy the beauty that is Troutdale. So I'm excited to hear what's gonna happen and what I can do and how I can be more involved and make a difference. So that's why I'm here. I think I know where, because I walk all around, I might know where you live now, and I definitely know where Twyla lives. So, I never walked in the trailer park though.
It's allowed.
It's dangerous.
Is it?
I think
I
so.
don't know if it is.
Maybe not. We do have
Oh, yeah, I know where
the
Adrian is.
raccoons.
So I'm just all over. I walk every day with the dog, and I take different paths, and I pick berries, and I'm usually out and about with a big fluffy, less fluffy now, white dog. One black ear. His name's Bob. So that's it. That's me.
Awesome.
Just to clarify, did you say 1 black ear?
Yeah.
Nice.
I thought he was a Burmese mountain dog.
He's a Portuguese water dog.
Jeez,
And he-
Burmese, Portuguese.
Unusual looking, and he's so white. He kind of looks like a
Way off.
Dalmatian now, because you can see all his little tiny black spots, but he has one black
Stereotype.
ear, and that's all people talk about. Oh, I love that, 1 black ear. Look at his 1 black ear. So I'm constantly reminding him, you'd be nothing without your black ear.
Well, I've never met a Portuguese water dog before, so I definitely want to put that on my list. I can mark that off. Check.
Shall we go around and introduce ourselves? I know almost half of us already know each other, but
Might as well. Jim, do you want to start off?
Yep.
You already know where I live, so we're,
I think so. Do you have a white dog?
yeah,
Yeah. Bob likes your white dog, but it's not out very often.
he's getting old.
He always looks for her when we walk by.
Goats are gone.
Yeah.
The goats got old as well. It happens.
Life is life. I know Frank.
Yeah.
And I know Woodrow, and I know Adrian. I don't know you. I know all these guys.
does that mean you don't know where I live either?
No. Not yet, but I'm pretty sure I could figure it out.
My name is Chris. I'm not even sure how long I've been on the committee now, but for quite a while now. I'm not exactly sure how long, but I live just up at the top of the hill. Lived here for around 7 years at this point, I think, at least. So I moved out here around the time I started attending Mount Hood College, is what happened there. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I'm Shelby, and I've been on this committee. This is my, it's re-upped again, so this is starting year 4. Oops. Yeah, I've been in Troutdale for 35 years. I don't know, too many years. Too many years for me to remember. So.
Diane Castillo-White, and here at the same time Shelby has, and just bought a kind of a historical home and just got to be really good friends with Sam Cox and Glenn Otto, and they come to our house all the time. We bought the house from Glenn Otto, and just got involved. Started going to metro meetings and going to all the city council meetings, and my husband started with Citizens Advisory Committee. Citizens Advisory, right? Yeah, and then moved on to council, and just there was shortages a long time ago for committees, and then I started joining the committees. I've been involved with other organizations, sending kids to missions for Mexico for several years, and fundraising, and in my churches I got to know a lot of the community and the chamber. I used to participate. We had awesome parades. They were very sweet, and would help with that and announce them as well, and got involved with the Troutdale Historical Society. So the chamber was important to me. There was a lot of good volunteers that gave a lot of their time for the car shows and the parade and other things, and that was a great way to meet the business community, as well as longtime members of the city of Troutdale. So my extended circle of friends and family and just caring for this town just kept growing and growing. And before it was about Glenn and me, and then later on it wasn't about us at all. It was about the community and listening to them, and then my children's friends and now their children and so on. So it's just, to me, a big extended family that I just really care about everybody that's in it, and just want this to be a nice, safe, clean, beautiful place for everyone.
It really feels like it is, being a newer person.
Yeah, we try. We're not gonna get everything, but it's nice to not be involved in politics per se, but just be involved in a town and care about the people and try to do what you can where you are.
I like it. I don't like politics either, but it's nice to get involved where we're at, so.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, it's nice meeting you all. I think we could move on.
Did you want to take a turn, Dakota?
Huh?
Did you want to take a turn?
Oh, sure. My name is Dakota Meyer. I'm the associate planner here with the city. I've been here for 2 years next week. Feels like much longer. When I started, we hit the ground running. Myself and the assistant planner, who you might have met, Nick, we both started on the same day, and we kind of hit the ground running. So it's been amazing working for the city of Troutdale. Being the liaison for this committee has been great. A little background of what we've done over the last year is we spent the better part of last year really diving into what the role is for CAC, and really looking at and revamping and coming up with a charter. So now we have officially a charter that's been signed and ready to go. It's on our webpage now. So that's been the big thing. CAC has worked. Typically they'll work on items that are brought to them either by council or by staff, but also they can work on items as well and bring them up the ladder. It's not always a top down. They've worked in the past on the TSP, Transportation System Plan update, the chicken permit, or the chicken code to own chickens in the city for the Muni Code, different things like that. And one of the big things that I'll be talking about later on, I'll be kind of looking to do a little bit of a work session with us tonight, is we have a grant right now for, it's the Main Streets on Halsey Corridor Code Audit. It's a very long name. We're basically looking at we're looking at design standards and different things along the Halsey corridor, really kind of up until, at this point right now, we're focusing up until the McMinimans properties to potentially, change some of our code and language to add design standards. And so that's something where CAC is going to be really astronomical. And as being the Citizens Advisory Committee, like pulling in that information of the public, really helping us get the word out as well, to get that community engagement factor. And that's where city staff really works in. A lot of you I emailed earlier, I'll send it to you, I did not email it to you earlier, but you should also be aware, at our next meeting, I'll go and do it again later on, but we will have our director as well as the consultants working on another grant for the urban forestry management plan. So they'll be coming, looking to, have CAC review that plan. It's a draft plan right now, and then to provide comment at our next meeting. And they'll have a presentation and things, but I'll go into that a little bit deeper later. But that's really where city staff really wants to, I feel like the CAC might have been not utilized to the full potential that they can. And I think now city staff is really focusing on trying to utilize CAC as much as we possibly can to be that community voice for us, to help us with a lot of that community outreach, because I think we need that. And I don't think that the city's necessarily had a whole lot of that in the past, and we're trying to change the narrative of city staff. We're all relatively new. So myself, like I said, I've been there for 2 years along with the assistant planner, and our director has been there for about a year and a half. So she's, for a while, it was just myself and the assistant planner running things. So yeah, we're all relatively new, trying to change the narrative of what was past and have a brighter future.
Looks like now we're supposed to elect our chair and vice chair.
And this is something that up to everybody. We don't have everybody here, obviously. I think we're missing 4, but we do have quorum. So we can either move forward with this item, or if you all want, we can push it to the next meeting. It's up to you all.
I would make the motion, we move it to the next meeting so the chair is here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Something to say, Will? No. I'm making a face there.
4 people missing.
Yeah.
I guess I'll say nay just for fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then we have 4 nays.
Okay, we can move forward.
I nominate Will. I mean, are you taking nominations?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll open nominations.
We'll do chair first, then vice chair afterwards.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. Okay, clarification, what was the vote?
The vote was to postpone all of this until September.
And did we agree to do that?
No.
There's 2 yeas, 4 nays.
So we have 4 people missing, one of which is the chair,
Okay,
but we still have a quorum.
just for clarification, I meant to say I was okay with postponing.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know
Then
if that made a difference. I misunderstood.
Well, then it's a tie.
It's 3-3. Well, and if I understand typical Robert's rules accordingly, tie votes fail.
Yeah.
We have an alternate. Does she say anything?
No.
All right.
That is an issue.
Okay,
I'm a
so
little lost on what we do, because it sounds like there was some confusion.
since not everyone's here, it's up to the committee to decide if they want to move forward with electing a new chair and vice chair right now, or if they would like to postpone to the next meeting, which is I think it's September 3rd or 3rd. Yeah, so the first Wednesday in September. There was a motion to postpone to the next meeting to vote chair and vice chair. It was second and third, then an option for nays. There's 3 tie votes, fail, so therefore, I believe we will be it'll be moved to the next meeting in September.
Well, because the motion was to move it.
Was to move it, correct.
Yeah, so which
And
means,
that,
so if the vote on the motion failed, that means we're taking care of it now.
based on Robert's rules.
tie, is it?
Yeah, it's just-
As a point of order, maybe we ask for a revote to,
Just to
make sure
clarify.
Yeah, there we go.
everybody knows
Thank you.
exactly what we're voting on.
So the motion is to either postpone is to postpone the election of chair and vice chair to next month's meeting for a revote.
So, if I could, one comment that I would make on this is I know that Twyla has made it very clear that she will not be continuing as chair, simply because she doesn't have the time cycles to do it. So if that changes anything for people, I just wanted to make that known.
I would also say that in my private conversations with Twyla, that was also a sentiment she expressed to me as well, that she did not wish to continue as chair, and she also publicly voiced that in June as well.
And I would definitely voice the fact that we're missing 4 people. That's a huge portion of our vote. So I don't think it's fair to the, especially the new person, Sanchez, to not be involved in the process.
As for this one, I wonder if maybe it would be better to do a roll call vote.
Yep. So to clarify, the motion is to postpone the election of chair and vice chair to next month's meeting. All right. Committee member Castillo-White.
No.
Committee member Kester.
No.
Committee member Stevens.
Yes.
Committee member Terrell.
Yes.
Committee member Stephenson. Committee member Knight.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Barney.
So I'll have to go with no.
All right, then the motion fails, and we will go ahead and move forward with elections of chair and vice chair right now.
All right, and let's open the floor for nominations for chair.
I'd like to nominate Knight.
I would like to decline that nomination.
Is this for chair?
It's for chair.
Nominating for chair.
I would like to nominate Adrian.
Second?
I'll accept that.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Frank.
I accept that.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote for Adrian first, and we'll go through again for Frank. Committee member Castillo-White, I'm struggling.
Yes.
Committee member Kester.
Yes.
Committee member Stevens. Committee member Terrell. Committee member Stephenson.
Yes.
Committee member Knight. And Vice Chair Barney.
Yes.
At 5-2, Adrian has been elected chair. Now we'll open it up for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Will.
Okay, I suppose. Yes, thank you.
Any other nominations for vice chair?
Actually, could I decline and nominate you, Shelby? What about fair play?
It's up to you.
I'm asking, would you accept the nomination if I declined?
Yes, I guess I would.
Then I will decline and nominate Shelby.
Do you need a second?
I think we do.
I'll second.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, we'll go through a roll call. Committee member Castillo-White,
Yes.
committee member Kester,
Yes.
committee member Stevenson. Stevens, jeez.
Yes.
I'm getting you guys. They're right next to each other on my list. Committee member Terrell.
Yes.
Committee member Staphenson. Committee member Knight.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Barney.
Yes.
Alrighty. So we have our new chair and vice chair. Chair is Adrian at the next meeting, and vice chair will be Michelle. Congratulations.
Welcome to your first meeting. That's the most awkward thing we do all year.
It is.
Okay, this is Diane, since it was so awkward, I just went ahead and proceeded forward, although 4 were missing, that I felt that we see the agenda ahead of time and then we decide. And I know there's stuff that comes up, but that, that, I like tonight, I have a niece from Texas, I go, I don't want to miss this. But I'm not judging anybody else. I'm just saying, we see the agenda, that's all.
Keep going, if you want me to take it.
That's the next meeting.
Yeah, fair enough. I know, sometimes the new chair.
Sometimes they do it, yeah.
Am I supposed to keep going?
Yeah. Yep.
I guess I thought the new person would take over.
I believe that's next, I could be wrong, I haven't read the Robert's rules in a little bit, so.
Frankly, considering we're already, as I think Paul would be quick to remind us, we're already a month behind on getting the chair elected.
That's on me.
All right. So then, it's like we are now to discussion items, and the first one is assess current community engagement.
This was a topic that we wanted to have on at the last meeting for you all to discuss how our current community engagement is going. So I was asked to add that back to the agenda at last meeting in June. And so we'll pick it up from there.
So I think at least from what I remember, that assessment was at least in part going to involve a presentation from one or more people from staff, possibly Marley, possibly, and with input from our social media person, I forget what his name is. But just to get some current data points as far as what our outreach numbers look like. So I guess the ask on that point at least is, when could we schedule that kind of a presentation?
I had in my notes to see if reach out to Marley about presenting, but I thought I had September 5th next to it, and I might have just written it wrong. So I think I put that down in the wrong spot, because that might be for a different thing I have in my notes from last week. So I did not reach out to her for this meeting. So that's on me. I think my notes just got me a little confused how I was writing them last time. But I remember that discussion. So I will reach out to her, see if she can come and gather some data points along with Kevin, who runs our social media and web pages. And maybe they work in the same office, so maybe she can just grab some of those data points. And if she isn't able to make it, at least hand them over, maybe in a brief slideshow, then I can present So I'll put a note down on the right date, right information this time, so I apologize for that.
Adrian, are we looking at other cities and how they do this as well?
It wouldn't be a bad idea, but I guess that would depend on staff if they have the contacts to get that information from what Village, Fairview, whoever, similar sized.
I would, raise my hand. This is Frank.
Otherwise, Will had a hand.
Go ahead, Frank.
Go ahead.
I just read an article, Sandy actually just won the community involvement. They are similar to our size, and they set the standard at the state level, and they are right next door. So if that's not something to follow, I don't know what is.
And we also did some research for some other community groups. And Milwaukee has a really cool website that they use to track all their different neighborhood associations and has their meeting schedules and all the different association agendas and things.
I think Will had a comment.
Is there anybody else want to go in front of Will?
Anybody?
No, this is all good, don't stress. We're already going into the topic. What I was gonna say, I think we're getting there. My suggestion was gonna be maybe we go C, B, A, and then leave this one to last, but we're kind of narrowing it down, I think, ask from staff, so I just keep going with what we're on. I don't wanna break up, I don't wanna transition us out of this, so. Oh, and I guess the only other ask as part of that too would be to have some help, Dakota, in compiling all of the ways that we're currently outreaching. I mean, even down to if we have to put a public notice sign out in front of a development, right? Like, what are all the ways that we're getting information out? That way we can have a master list, maybe, and then we can look from there to see what we have. Take inventory first and then assess.
Any other comments?
It's tracking.
Okay, so I guess so our next item of discussion is plan for First Friday booth. It says August, September, but I think we're a little late on the August part.
September, yeah, a little late on the August, so it's been supposed to just say September, for September 5th, first Friday. We had discussed last time about wanting to have a booth, and I know I will be at this first Friday along with CAC members regarding our grant. So I'll be getting into that next, but it's kind of the item C and item B are kind of all in one, really, because we wanted to have a First Friday booth in August, which again, sorry that I wasn't able to be here in July to discuss this. We tried getting out there, just tough timing. Like I said, thank you, Diane and Frank, for volunteering, but it just felt too rushed. And after talking over with Erica, I was like, let's just better plan for the next meeting, since I wasn't able to be here for that July meeting. So we had talked at our June meeting about wanting to have a booth for CAC just so we can get our faces out there for people to know that when we're just not at events, not just this meeting, that they come talk to us about current issues, projects, things that they have questions about, then we can bring it here. So we talked about doing that. So I was wondering if there's anything that we wanted to have there at the booth, or just kind of be there, be public, have a board that says CAC on it, to be, let people know that we are your Citizens Advisory Committee, that, you are all the voice of the public. So, because to be honest, as a planner, we send out public notices and we post things on the website and we send notices in the newspaper. We don't get a lot of comment until after the fact. We get a lot of comments after the deadline's over. And then that makes us as staff look like the bad guys, like, well, the deadline's been passed. So it can't go on record because it's closed. So trying to be the voice for these things or concerns, because a lot of the discussion's been about parking, and we're doing the downtown parking study. the parking at Glen Auto, if people have comments, concerns. We recently had a staff appreciation event down there for lunch, and I saw members of the city citizens trying to pay to park, and I ran over there and let them know, hey, you don't pay during the weekends. You're a citizen here, it's midweek. You don't pay during the week. So still trying to get that information out there and knowing they can call because they were frustrated the app wasn't working. It's like, well, it won't work for you. Things like that. Is there topics that we want to be able to let people know about, or is it just kind of, hey, come talk to us if you have something? We want to be able to be open at the First Friday event for discussion. So any and all ideas.
Okay, I think it'd be nice if we currently, even though we're gonna have maybe Marley and Kevin talk to us, let them currently know how they can find the information. So then they know the champion. And then Facebook and explore Troutdale, the city website. And then maybe a little bit of, once they get there, what would they see, or, what's under those headings? And that way they can start to learn. We don't have time to do a wheel about it, do you know what I mean? And each way, maybe that's later when we have a really good action plan. But we had a good time at the Historic Landmarks booth.
Yeah, but just to intercede, if I may, is that okay?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of Troutdale people. It was mostly people who knew you. And
A lot of them were from Troutdale, though. Yeah.
the numbers I saw, wasn't conducive to getting the word out. So I think there's a plus and minus there. I think it's just be aware that I think Marley would have better numbers when she brings in the Placer program and can tell us how much impact. The other is First Friday, September's our last shot, and then what? What comes after that?
Well, we had 3 people that wanted to sign up their homes as historic. The Streetmans came by.
I'm not talking about these guys, I'm talking about CAC and outreach, so.
Yeah, but we could have a booth say, do you live in Troutdale? And then we can try to get them there, you know what I mean? To actually see, how many are from Troutdale, and then provide them information. How do you get informed? But just some way to have a conversation. I think if we have them come to our booth, we need them to want to come in, and then it's like, then we can give them information once they get there.
I'm not disagreeing with the booth, I'm just saying how effective is it as far as getting the word out to our community and specific parts of our community.
I think Will has a comment. You kind of landed on something, and we could use it to both. What if we have one of those, put a pin in the map or put a dot on it? If you live in Troutdale, once that flags us, they're Troutdale residents, then we go into, okay, Troutdale resident interview questions or information questions. We've got our target audience here in front of us, we filter them out, what's on the board. Now that gives us direct access to the specific fish we're trying to catch in that net. And then from there, wherever we go, we could do it. It could be following up on some of the park stuff. It could be about updating the Chalk Trail. Where's that at? How's it coming along? It could be parking in Glen Auto. It could be what you recommended as well. Where are you finding your sources of information? Did you hear about X of these? Where did you hear about it from? And then we can start, kind of getting some of that anecdotal data a little bit. We could potentially put together a quick questionnaire, and I don't know if there's a way that we could.
Yeah, I'm just going off of.
Fill it out and then win a raffle from a local business. That want to be promoted in the booth. They could give us $50 gift card and we'll.
Pictures with Bob.
Yeah, something like that. I love doing these booths and figuring out ways to do that.
I agree.
So
I think both are definitely beneficial. The Placer program that Marley is using can give us definite numbers, how many people that are actually coming to the event are coming from out of town versus Troutdale. So that'll give you the big one, but what Will's saying, it gives you more detail. So that actually tells you specifically who and from where in Troutdale, which is great.
Shelby, I was just thinking that when we we're trying to find out how people decided to volunteer, be on city committees. I don't know, those were posted on bulletin boards or on or maybe there's some bulletin boards, but places. Maybe we should utilize that old-fashioned way of posting stuff. I don't know, on various boards, that maybe that would get some people. I mean, maybe they get more of the parks people who go to the parks, but maybe we'll find out more when Marley comes, that she'll say what our contacts, but obviously First Friday is one that draws people from a lot out of the area, so, and did you just make the comment that the movies thing also draws a lot of people from out of the area?
So we asked, actually, I specifically asked Marley to give the placer data to Molly King to determine how many came from outside of Troutdale, so we would have the number for that. Because if it's not effective for, like, we were tabling for the parks, it's like, if it's not effective, then I think a bigger bang for our buck is coffee in the park or walk the dog or, other options. And those tie in with CAC. So, I mean, the two are kind of synonymous. But those are the outreach that gets to the community versus just the downtown section. It's in their area, specific to their area. It covers a lot that you don't typically see on our committees, like from the other side of 257. So, yeah, I'd like to see that for sure.
I feel super bad about this. Can you remind me your name?
Tiffany.
Tiffany?
It's okay, I don't have a name plate.
Bob's
I
mom.
can it's somewhere, but it's for parks. I would suggest that as a group, you guys, I just looked at the calendar and I guess the next meeting would be on the 3rd and the first Friday is on the Friday after that, Wednesday. And so as a group, maybe we can come up with questions that you would want to ask on a survey. So those, like, how would you like to get information? Where are you getting information from? What frustrates you about not getting information? Like, each of you come up with a couple of questions and then you actually, because we talk about it, this happens in Marks too, we talk about it and then we don't actually follow through and do it. So, like, an action item would be everybody come up with a question so that you can actually make a list to have at that event, because that's gonna be here before we know it. We'll have the meeting on the 3rd and then First Friday will be the next Friday. And these are great questions. We do have bulletin boards in parks. There's two that I can think of specifically. One is not a bulletin board right now, it's just a piece of plywood, but things get attached to it. And that's a great way to get people's attention, is to put in the libraries. That's another place that you can, the Troutdale Library, that has a big, huge informational board. The Gresham one has one too. And there is information about things that are happening in town on those places. The signs in front of things, those are cool, but the one that was important to me, I saw a week after the meeting, right after I moved here, about this new building that went up. Yeah. But that was just because I was brand new. So I missed that meeting by 1 week when I walked by it. It's the first one I missed, but those are useful.
So going off of that, I was writing down some notes based on some of these ideas, and I agree. I think, like I have here, I can ask Kevin to do a social media blast on our Facebook, just a single post on our Facebook and our Instagram, asking the question, are you from Troutdale? If so, come see CAC, or come talk to CAC at First Friday, like at a booth, just real quick to try to get people there. Another thing I wrote down is, I like the idea with map and pins. That's something I can do. I can get a large map. Won't be as large as those, even though I wish it was, with some pins, so that people can, like, when they come visit, they can post a pin, and then be like, oh, okay, you live in this neighborhood, and talk to them about if they have any questions. The other thing I had written down here is I like the idea of comment cards and having questions for people. If everybody can come up with a question before our next meeting, because we are having the meeting on the Wednesday before First Friday, so we have a chance to kind of dial this in. And the great thing is I'm in the office on Fridays, so that I can prep all the stuff before I go to the event. So I can print off comment cards, so we can, when people do come, they can fill out a comment card, and it can be, we can ask everybody, bring a question, we can discuss them at the next meeting, narrow them down so it's not a list of questions for people to answer, because I know the last thing people want to do is like, hey, drop us a comment. It's always hard to do that, even in like social media things, like leave a comment. No one really does. But if we can just get them to, whether it might be, what's a concern you're having right now? in the city. You know, something it can be like kind of basic things, but things that we want to know about what's going on in the city from others. And then we can bring that at our next meeting in October and go through all of these. Because I can compile them, put them into a list. You know, if there's some that are, you know, I can rank them if there's some that are the same. If not, we'll put them all in there. And we can just go through them and discuss, you know, hey, these are the comments we received at First Friday. Let's talk about them and go through that. And I think there are opportunities, as Frank had said, to continue this kind of project of getting out to the public. But right now, let's focus on First Friday, because that's the one that we've got coming up. And I'll go into more, because I mean, we also do have movies in the park coming up. I think it's August 15th that's the last one.
August
There's one in
15th?
September,
Yeah, we have the makeup in September.
Big
so
episode.
there's 2 left.
There's 2 in
Well,
September.
There's
Yeah.
one in August and one in September.
Yeah, it's August
Yeah, August 15th.
15th.
So 2 more.
Yeah. So those are other opportunities that we have. Just to get our voice out there for the public and things like that. Because I think while the information that Marley can have is great, I think she usually compiles it all at the end of First Friday. So having her come and talk to us, she can give us some data, but I'm saying we won't get the grand scheme of all the First Fridays. I remember going to City Council last year when she did the presentation regarding all that data that she collects. And it was interesting to see, like, oh, certain days, demographics were different, depending on whether they're locals or not. And I think that was interesting. So I think I still will reach out to her and Kevin to come talk to us at our next meeting, or at least grab some data from them, put together a little presentation. But I think the real data is, I think we should try to do it when we can there, and at these next couple of events that we already have planned this summer, utilize those. Because then during the winter, that's when we can start kind of planning our own events and getting the voice out there. But see what works. Where are they getting their information from? Is it from social media? Is it from the Champion? Is it from, I can't remember the newspaper that we send our larger things to in
Gresham Outlook.
Gresham Outlook, thank you. That's where we send all of for type 3, type 4 applications. That's where we send our stuff that has to be posted in the newspaper. Are they getting it from that? So, you know, these are types of questions that would be good to ask. So I think it'd be great as an action item for us all to come up with a question or two, and we can discuss them at our next meeting and narrow them down to see what would we like to have on a comment card. And they could be yes or no questions, because those are real easy. You can circle yes or no on a question, and then, or like comment, what's the issue that you're seeing with the city right now? And then have them just do like a 1-sentence thing. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can be 2 words. Like, I'm just using this as an example. It's not you. Parks. You know, they can just write parks. And it's like, okay, well, then we can figure out more. But I think that's something that would be helpful for us to at least then kind of gather what people are seeing in the community that we're not seeing. How does everybody feel about doing that?
I feel good, but I also like to put in what's good about Troutdale. So that way, I mean, we're not the chamber, but at the same time, we can, like, when anybody was coming to the booth, I go, hi, do you live in Troutdale? And if they said no, I go, well, welcome to Troutdale. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and these are the things, you know, like Facebook, you could find out our activities, are you know what I mean? So we could be ambassadors as to welcome and also inform, regardless if they're from Troutdale or not. I like the needs or whatever, like concerns, whatever, but I also would like, what do you like about Troutdale?
Highlight.
Yeah, the highlight as well, yeah. So we have we have a concern that's like bothering you, but what do you like? Because a lot of the people I did talk with from Troutdale, and I know a lot of them like a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of great things, so it's great, yeah.
I think that's great, but, you know, focus on both.
Both,
Yeah,
both.
don't just focus on one, because that can get negative.
No, but then later on, like you said, once we get more information, we could say Facebook, this, you know, then we could get into it's evolving, we're informing people.
Question. Woodrow, Dan, when you were doing that with the chamber and the ambassador program, does the chamber still have the ambassador program? Or was it kind of non-formalized?
Once the chamber moved out of Troutdale, there was a transition of volunteers. Most of the a lot of the great volunteers were from Troutdale, and then just things changed. I'm no longer helping the chamber.
There is a chamber here now, right?
It's 3 cities. I believe it's Cascade Locks, Troutdale, no, is it Wood Village, Fairview, Troutdale? I don't know.
I can't remember.
It's the West Columbia Gorge.
Their office is in Troutdale, right?
No, I do not think, they are no longer.
Because I met a couple people that said they were with the chamber and said their office was that attorney's office right here.
Oh, maybe it is still now. It used to
But
be.
it's like a tiny little building, so I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I thought it was maybe a mail drop.
That's where it was tabling.
Got it. So an ambassador program is something that would be very, very helpful. And the other thing we were looking at too was, new homeowner welcome packages. So when somebody buys a home or somebody moves to Troutdale, there's a little, something to give them. Hey, welcome to Troutdale. But anyway, maybe we need to have another discussion about, a subcommittee or something that can work on that outreach to new families, new parents, new children. I'm sure the school district has something for the new transfers in, new businesses, things like that, but anyway.
Yes.
Thank you. I yield the floor.
I guess that was also kind of a thought I had, is if we're gonna do a booth for First Friday, maybe we could also have just, a little something for kids, for the parents that have them, just like maybe spin a wheel and win some candy or something. Nothing, doesn't have to be anything crazy.
I have a spinning wheel.
That is helpful.
I created a virtual wheel with a list of questions, about Troutdale. And some of the questions were, a lot of them were based around things that happen in the city. Like, do you know how many parks we have? Do you know that, are you allowed to go to city council meetings? Like, do you know how many city councilors we have? Do you know that you're welcome to come to these things? Like, it was questions like that. And the kids listened, the parents listened, people listened. They weren't from here, so I don't know how much it benefited them, but it was a very easy.
They got candy.
I typed up the questions in a Word document and copy pasted them into this wheel. It was free. I brought my laptop, you touched it, spun, and it asked a question. It was very simple to do. So that's something that is easy to create pretty quickly. A good question is, what's gonna bring people in? So a giveaway or something for somebody to do. The fish pens, I mean, love those
We have fish pens, yep.
But engaging them with a wheel that has a question on it, they're still gonna get a piece of candy whether they know the answer or not, but then it helps you to talk to them about what is happening around here. So I think it's a great way to get people to come in, having a way to bring people in to ask them to take the survey. I like the gift basket idea, to just, if you put your information on this piece of paper after you take a survey, we'll enter you in a giveaway for something. That encourages people to actually do it. Whether they do it correctly and take the time to actually put thought into it is up to them, but yeah.
I actually really like that idea as well. Will?
And then, if there's a way for us to filter resident versus non-resident through that process, so we can have the data like for the residents, and then, like you mentioned, don't really know what we're getting from the residents here. I like that idea, so long as we can put it in two directions, resident or not.
That's where the pen in the map.
Right, but then when we're doing, if it's, I'm assuming it's an online, like you said, it's either laptop.
Yeah, I Googled wheel, and I found one that I could just copy paste a list of questions that automatically put them on a colorful wheel, and then you hit spin and it spun, and then the question would come up on the screen.
Was it collecting the data in the system too?
No,
It was just
no,
verbal
not the
back and-
answers, it was just for back and forth,
Gotcha.
for me to talk to people and start a discussion with them.
I mean, comment cards, we can put an R for resident circle if you're a resident. And that can just help us track numbers. We don't need their name necessarily, we don't need their address. We don't need that, we just need are you a resident? Circle the R if you're a resident, if not, leave it blank.
But maybe we do want that. Maybe somebody else in the city wants that for tourism or marketing purposes before we just discount that completely.
We don't also want people to feel like we're using their information. We want this to, we as a city employees, I'm very public. You can look me up, you can look up everything about me online. All my information because I am a city employee is public. But I don't know all of your information. And I think and we don't necessarily want, unless we were to do like a raffle or something, because we need a way to contact them if they were to win. But we don't want necessarily to have people feel like, especially in today's day and age where I feel like a lot of people are more concerned about their personal information, their location, no one wants spam mail. I mean, I feel like half the reason why we don't get, when we send out public notices, why we don't get comments until after the fact is because they look at it and they see it's something from the city and it's not a bill or something like that and they throw it away. 90% of the time, they throw it away. And that's something that we in planning, ever since I've been in planning, have been working of, okay, how do we make them less dense? Do we make them less legal heavy? Something that's gonna make someone read it and maybe wanna give a comment because they might not read it and then they see something being constructed. And then we get the calls after the fact. I think that's the thing is we don't want them to feel like we're gonna be spamming them with things. And I think having the information would be great. And if they're willing to provide it, that's on them. But instead of having, hey, fill out your name, your address, that you're a resident or non-resident, I think that steps over of what the information that we're kind of looking at this point right now.
I was just gonna say, when we did public safety survey, we did not, we asked for what area we gave a map and used the major arterials. We were just trying to see, did we get all of the responses from one particular area of the city? Otherwise, we didn't really care. We didn't ask for any information to identify the people. We wanted to know their responses, about how they felt about police and fire and the services and stuff like that, and tried to make it a short survey. And I felt like a lot of people got good responses. We still didn't get as many as we hoped.
That was my question, were people receptive when you walked up to them and asked them to take the survey? Like, how did you guys collect that survey?
We posted it on social media, we put it in the Champion, we went and posted it, QR code linking to the survey at 3 different apartment complexes in the city, trying to just get all kinds of people, not just at First Friday. We were at First Friday, we had a wheel to spin, and got a pen, for starting to fill out the survey. So people were pretty receptive to doing the survey, but it's still just getting people to take the word out. Like I said, I think I asked every committee, there was a lot of people on the Public Safety Committee that were on other committees, and we tried to bring it to everybody's attention to try to, you fill it out, talk to your neighbors, let's just it's just grassroots. There was very little money spent on it. Actually, one of our committee members did it in Google Docs and compiled all the stuff. Then afterwards we met and went through the responses and summarized it, gave a presentation to City Council, and then we went through all the individual comments. People that wanted to provide more information, they could, and a few people wanted follow-up. They gave a phone number and a name. So we tried to, but again, I felt like it was good, but I had unrealistic expectations. I was hoping to get 1,000 responses, and that's just nuts. I guess that was totally nuts.
One thing that I think we need to keep in mind here is that we're trying to move a needle as far as community participation, and to make that happen, it's going to take any and every method we can come up with, and any individual contact method or event or metric or is in isolation not going to look like much. But overall, collectively, ultimately our goal is to just get contact and get feedback from more people. So at this point, personally, I'm not particularly concerned about how much of an effect any individual method has. It's just, let's get it all out there. and talk to everybody that we can talk to, listen to everybody that we can listen to, and then see what our numbers look like. And because right now we're in the early days of it, and let's chuck some darts at the wall and see where they land. And over the course of the next 12 months, and into next summer, then we'll have, and I know Will has said this on a couple of occasions, is we'll have started to build up a baseline of numbers that we can possibly look at to see if we are moving the needle. And if we're not, then maybe we need to come up with something a little more revolutionary, a little more drastic, or maybe even go so far as to start digging for grant money, because I know a lot of the things that I've seen other communities use to really move the needle takes funds. And because things like going around and establishing neighborhood associations in earnest costs money to do that. So yeah, let's start throwing darts.
Other comments? Well, not to be cynical, but the other thing we might learn that's a plausibility is that this is the number of people that are involved until something that they don't like happens, and then everybody gets up in arms, right? We might just be.
There is that.
But yes, I 100% agree. Anything else? All right, then before we move on, since we're talking about First Friday, I guess I'll just insert a shameless plug that our very own Kevin Minkoff will be singing at Pompeo's on First Friday. I'm looking forward to that, because I haven't been able to go the past couple times. So now we talk about Main Streets on Halsey community engagement.
Yes. So this is kind of going right on the heels of First Friday. First off, I just want to say great discussion on that. I have some great notes here, and I think if everybody could come with one question each or two questions each for the next meeting, that would be great, because then I'll compile all of those and then we'll decide together of two, maybe three that I can get on comment cards for First Friday. I'm kind of doing two things at once for First Friday, and I'll get into that right now. While with CAC, the Main Streets on Halsey, I'm going to pull up a presentation that we gave to Planning Commission in June. It was initially for Planning Commission, but I also want to want this to be a little bit more of a work session. So I had mentioned before, the Main Streets on Halsey code audit is work that had been done previously with a different consultant, Cascadia Partners, looking at the Halsey Street corridor from 257th all the way over to 238, and how the design standards and different types of requirements can be set for that corridor to make it more inviting, more people-friendly. And so that was a three-city effort at the time. And we ultimately voted those code amendments that were recommended by Cascadia Partners for us. We ended up bringing them all the way through. It was a long effort. I took it over when I got here. It was extended. I think it went on for 5 years. It was supposed to be a 1 year. And it was like 5-year effort. We kept extending it. So we finally closed it out with the council voting to deny those recommended code amendments. And that's what I felt, in my personal opinion, of researching, reading through planning commission hearings, joint planning commission hearings with all three cities, is that our voice wasn't heard here in Troutdale. Felt like we were a little bullied out of it with the other two cities. So my goal with kind of coming back to this is having a different light on it, looking more at design standards than cost effectiveness. Because developers, and that is, increased height, you get more apartments, still have the tuck under, which could still be something if people are interested in that. However, that was what worked for two other cities and didn't really listen to what we had to say. So my goal with this project now is to really have the voice be heard of Troutdale. the goal is to have that small town feel of our town center extend across 257th west along the Halsey corridor. That's my ultimate goal. That's my vision for this project. So I'll pull up a presentation. Yeah, which one?
So, all right, because when I think of the Halsey corridor, I think of Edgefield. So are you talking about putting in apartments in front of Edgefield? Or I don't understand how this is, I
No,
don't understand how that's gonna work.
and I'll get to a diagram that'll show this. We had discussed, I just talked a lot with with our consultants of how far we should actually do this corridor. Initially, we're thinking for the whole corridor, 257, 238. Edgefield owns a massive chunk of that land. And they have a model that works really well for what they do. They own that land, and this also, again, these are design standards that we want to put in our code. It's not going to go down there and change anything as it is now, but if someone were to come in and develop, then they have these set of standards, similar to how we have downtown. If someone wants to build a new building, since we have, for example, we have a vacant lot right down here in downtown. If they were to want to build a new building, they have not only the zoning requirements, they have the town center overlay that has additional requirements. So right now, we're focusing on where the town center overlay extends to. And we're focusing on that section of the Halsey Street. So basically from 257th west to 40th, 41st, something like that.
I'm at the Wood Village.
Yeah, not all the way over. So right where your hand is, go right. See where the red stops? A little bit further right, right there. So from there, east. Yeah, that's that corridor. And I have a diagram that'll show that. So we were initially looking at the whole thing, but after discussions, and who knows, we may do that later on, but if, after having discussions, and we're still working through this, we still have work session with Planning Commission to go through this discussion. We're still in the early phases, but I wanted to talk to CAC today about helping with the community engagement portion of this project. So I'm just going to share my screen. This may be a bit in the weeds, and because this is what was for Planning Commission, so this may be a bit in the weeds, but we're just gonna run through it really quick. It's not too long. And then I have a couple of things I want to show you that I'm planning on bringing to First Friday and trying to get some more information out. And I want to get your feedback. And that's where that handout is that I handed out to everyone. That's a one-page handout that I will be having at First Friday, trying to reach out to the public to gain feedback. So let me pull this up really quickly. Okay, so this was a presentation put together, like I said, for Planning Commission by our consultant, our partners in this, which is MIG, or MIG. So the background, the Main Streets on Halsey project first started.
Sorry to interrupt, could we move some of those?
Oh,
things out?
yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of some of this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope, you have a very strong point there. Let's go ahead, there we go. The Main Streets on Halsey project first started in 2017. It was a multi-year effort between the cities of Troutdale, Wood Village, and Fairview to improve the Halsey Street corridor by increasing development opportunities. The goal was to have identified barriers in existing development codes and to develop context-sensitive design standards and create an updated street design for the corridor. So this was the whole length. The part in segment 3 was our segment of Halsey Street. Not to go again too into weeds, Wood Village and Fairview, they adopted things, we again did not. So I'm trying to look at it as from a different light and change it for what we want. How do we want Halsey to look as a city? To still have our small town feel, continue and expand our beautiful downtown a little bit further along. These were the previous identified issues. Design didn't adequately address local values and preference in Troutdale. Increase in maximum building heights would take away from the small town character of Troutdale. Like I said, the case file 7515 was ultimately denied. Staff recommended the development of an alternative strategy for incorporating the Main Streets on Halsey vision into Troutdale Development Code. So community engagement efforts. This is what we're planning on doing, and there is a typo in here, so don't mind it. Collaborate says community advisory, so say citizens. Don't mind that. Collaborate with the Citizen Advisory Committee. That's where I'm at right now. I want to get feedback from you all because you are the citizens in the city. You are the ones who live here. You are the ones who can give us the best feedback and help us spread the word. Interview stakeholders such as property owners and residents along the Halsey corridor, business owners along the corridor, and people who work or visit the corridor area. And then conduct additional community engagement activities, open houses or meetings, pop-up events, First Friday, movies in the park, and then continue work sessions and briefings with CAC and council. So this is, and you'll see this on the handout, this is kind of our rough time frame for this project. So we're going into September here. There we go. We're going into September, but we're still working on some community engagement because we're not going to start hitting this phase until we get some feedback. So we're not going to start going through. I've had discussions with Meg regarding what I think as a planner mind for the city would look best, but we really don't want to move too far into the weeds until we hear from the citizens. And so that's where I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'll pull up some of the things I'm planning on bringing to First Friday. And this is where I'd like to get some feedback from you all. And see if we should change some of this, if you like the wording on some of these. I just received these, so I did not have a chance to send them out ahead of time. And again, I'll send them out after this meeting. Send me comments. I have time to change it before First Friday. So I'll share these. This is some boards that I'm planning on making for First Friday. I worked with our consultant partners on these. These are some designs. These are some things that we thought would be best to have on some boards there to ask the public some questions. And with this, I'm planning on doing a dot exercise. Who here knows what a dot exercise is? Frank knows. So a dot exercise is you have little stickers. And so whoever comes up to the booth,
Color coded.
yeah, color coded, and you take a sticker off and you place it. So it has a brief description of what is the project, what are our objectives, which is to promote context-sensitive design and adaptable and respects community values, encourage human-scale development.
Can you define context sensitive in this?
So context-sensitive is for the design itself. We want it to be cohesive. We want it to work. We don't want necessarily something that's super modern coming in to, like you wouldn't want something if you're, say, have an older, like look at Sisters, for example. You're not gonna have a super modern building coming into, they have design standards to keep it looking that way. We have that very much so in our downtown. To keep it having this kind of smaller town, this one street, single street kind of feel going through it, even though our city is much larger than that. But you feel like you're in a specific city when you walk downtown. So that's what context sensitive is.
Okay, thank you.
Being sensitive to what's around.
So same look and feel.
Exactly.
Okay.
These are just big words. Big words for it, planner words. Encourage human scale development to create an engaging, vibrant environment for people walking and traveling along and within the corridor. For some of you who don't know, there's been an active project for the Main Streets on Halsey corridor streetscape plan, which I believe, I know Frank, you've been working on that.
CAC for that.
Yeah, and I think was it 80% design or something like that? They finished the design project, now they're just waiting on funding and things like that. And that's going to change, make it more pedestrian friendly along the corridor, which is great because that feeds right, we're coming in on the heels of that. So really now, once we're done with the street side, like the streets will look great. Now, what are the buildings gonna look like? Or when they eventually redevelop?
The only, part of that conversation, the Edgefield or McMinimums was not terribly involved with that process, which at that time they weren't, but now they are. So there seems to be a flip on that, so.
Because they're notoriously difficult to get hold of.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then, yes, Woodrow.
So when you talk about walking environment, I don't see a lot of people walking to and from Edgefield.
That's because you can't. It's very dangerous.
Right.
And that's the whole point with the streetscapes. There's a whole plan that's actually going to widen, create ped and bike paths to be able to walk the course. And bus stops. Because right now, if you stop at that bus stop on Halsey, you have about a foot before you tumble down a hill into the blackberries. Yeah. So that's why, like, that's not gonna work. So that's why we're coming on the heels of what they worked on, which Marley was very involved with. And that's why now we're coming on the heels of that to, allow people who are going to, say, to concerts and things to be able to walk that area.
I just had a question though, when will the road be redeveloped? Is it as development comes in, so only small sections are done at a time? Because I think that, I remember seeing, it's like, they're gonna have to give up a whole bunch of property to make this work on each side, because it's so much wider, the road is, because of all these other things, modes of
The
transportation.
thing, I'm not exactly sure about the development portion, because I think they're still working on that. However, they're not necessarily having to give up. The right-of-way already goes that far.
Oh,
Now, some people don't realize that, but the right-of-way is very wide. The road is just very narrow. The right-of-way is 100 feet across, and the road is only 20.
It fits well within the design parameters.
Yeah.
The right-of-way is actually solid.
It's 6, for example, if you're gonna talk about Edgefield, the more field area, it looks like, oh, the road's just here. The right-of-way goes a good almost 50 feet in either direction from center line into their area. And that's Multnomah County right-of-way. Yeah, so they have the right to do what they need to do in those sections. And that's why any development that Edgefield's talked a lot about developing the land. They come in, talk to us about 2 years later, we don't hear from them for 2 years. They come back in, similar design. We're all gung-ho for them to, do the things they want to do, hotels, different, immersive stays, things like that. Bringing more people to Troutdale is great. We're all gung-ho. I think it's just more of whether or not they want to spend the money and whether or not they really want to do that right now. So it's been an on and off discussion for the last, I talked to him once since I've been here and haven't heard from him since that one phone call right when I started. And I heard from others who have been here longer than me that that's typical. You'll get a feeler call and then you won't hear from them for 2 to 3 years. Then you'll get a feeler call, and they've been doing that for about 7 to 9 years. And they're going to. They have plans. They have architecturally drawn plans, but they're just not ready to commit.
So the road though, Multnomah County, that's their road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, they are gonna develop that
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
Do you know when it's scheduled?
It's all about funding, grant funding, because there's a city match, and then there's just trying to collect it. It's a large infrastructural undertaking, so it's all about funding.
You're actually if you go to Wood Village in Fairview, you're seeing some of the impacts of that with the rapid flashing crosses and the way the embankments are coming in for road diets. And, that's already happening for them. It's just happening in Troutdale. Yeah.
And then the last thing, and again, this is just our objective, is to establish design standards that create a cohesive, attractive place that people want to visit. We want to have that walkable feel of downtown just extend across 257. And along with the streetscapes that they've been working on, there's going to be some work done at 257 to make that less of a kind of a crazy intersection, to try to make it a little safer for pedestrians to cross it. We know it's a truck route, that's not changing, just try to make it a little safer for pedestrians. It's not super lit up at night. There's things like that, to try to make it a little easier to get across 257 as a pedestrian. So then this is what I was mentioning earlier. This is the scope of the project. So this is the section that we're focusing on. But really, we're actually focusing a little bit less than that. But this is the scope of our project.
So that's 244th?
Yeah. And then we have our project timeline. So that's all, this is one board that I'm planning on having it first Friday. And then we get into some of our questions. So we have the topic of building height. We wanted to revisit it, just see what people say. We know what we've heard from Planning Commission. We're not disregarding that by any means. And City Council. We just wanted to revisit it and hear what public has to say too. We want to hear their voice. So this is where our first sticker comes into play. So some information about building heights, allowing taller building, like why increase, some little bit of background, and then, place your sticker. Do you support or do you oppose?
Okay, Chris, I have a question. Thank you. The thing is with the mixed use, and we're talking MU1, MU2, MU3, okay, well, let's just say 35, 55, and 75. Do we have examples of buildings that we could show them? Because if you're just telling me 35, 55, 75, I have no clue what that looks like. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, things need to be comprehensive. So, is 55 where they did the 4-story?
Yeah, so you figure it's like our minimums right now in general are 35 feet, or that's our maximum across the board in the city. And then unless you get a variance for increase. So I believe Fox Ridge is 45 or 55, I believe.
Okay,
Because they received a variance for increased
Okay.
height on the street facing, only that street facing building because it's on a hill. So that's why they were approved for a variance, because the lot was had constraints outside of what they were allowed to do, or what we could do.
okay, yeah, I wasn't happy to see the four stories because we're talking about the small town feel, but I will say setback, if you have trees in front, and then the color.
And I have something else to show you, too,
Okay, great.
which I think would help.
I think maybe to follow up on that, the visual side of things, this is incredible, and I'm sure at planning engineering conference, you'd kill with this.
I didn't put this together, this was Meg put this together for you.
And dealing with a lot of just general people and doing similar booths and trying to use sales process to give information, the attention span is like this for most people. And to Diane's point, without having a visual, to be like, hey, here we are standing next to Pompeo's. It is X amount of feet high. This one is this much taller. Here's a picture of these apartments over here. This is how tall they are. What do you want? Do you want taller or less? And like somehow to be able to give a picture to show people, hey, this is what this means and this is what this means. Do you want it higher or lower? Place your dot, and like giving some sort of visual to connect is going to be a lot more impactful. I mean, even I can see some of us, myself included, kind of eyes rolling back in this. But it's almost I think you're going to get a lot. Like I said, this is incredible. You know, people that know what you know and what I am learning now from this will understand it. People that don't this is not their world at all. Will just be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, fair.
So that would be my only suggestion, is really, like Diane said, put some sort of visual to it.
Same thing, some sort of a visual. I mean, even if you just have a little picture underneath and say, this is Pompeo's, this is the clock tower building that's across from Pompeo's, this is the apartments, so people can see the different height. Just even if it's not to scale, it doesn't have to be to scale.
Doesn't have to be scaled, yeah.
But some sort of visual would be really helpful.
Okay.
For people to make a choice.
Even with this is a great example, having a picture, this is a 45-foot building without a step back, and here's a 45 with a step back,
Okay.
Go back up for a second.
Yep. Too far.
Right there. never mind, my question doesn't apply to this.
Okay, yep, no problem. If it comes back to you later on. Okay, that's great feedback. This is what I'm looking for, because I'm trying to get more.
Alright, so, Adrian and I got our maps up here, and I'm looking at this, property that's on Historic Columbia River Highway, further north of Halsey. Is this gonna be included in there? It's got a lot of trucks and stuff between the highway and the railroad tracks.
No.
Okay, so just
This is strictly Halsey.
Strictly Halsey.
Halsey.
Properties that are abutting Halsey.
Alright.
And again, this came up at planning commission, there's not a whole lot of land.
There's like two, I see.
And there's not a whole lot of land, and we're hoping, we have some opportunity sites there that are called out in our town center plan. Those would be great, and that's why if we have development standards, eventually, whatever they may be through this project. I'm not saying it's gonna be this, because it could drastically change by the time we're ready to have some sort of written code to bring to planning commission and city council. And of course, I'd be keeping CAC involved, informed and involved along the way. But the thing is, when those properties redevelop, or if they develop, then they have to meet these standards. And the hard thing is, doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna happen. Like in my mind, I would love to be like, cool, we're putting this here, we're putting this here, we're gonna put this here, and this is how it's gonna look. Sim game. But we don't have that, we don't own the properties. So we can't do that. We have no control over what people wanna build there. As long as it's approvable in the code, we have to allow it. But can it look a certain way? That's what we can control how it looks. I think that's what we're trying to do with this. It's still, so they're not putting up, they wouldn't do this, but for an example, a tilt-up concrete structure, that's mixed use. And, that's just right across the street from our, on the vacant lot there at Halsey and 257, right next to our beautiful downtown. But we can make it look more cohesive. That's the ultimate goal. Any other questions? Cool, I'm gonna keep moving on. There's just a couple more of these slides. So this is an example as well. So it's another dot. So we're gonna give them a bunch of dots. Are you more likely to support increasing height if a step back is required? So that way, this is the street face here. Oops. This is street face, and it has to step back a certain distance before it increases. So that way it's not just straight building. That, if they, would they be more likely to support, say, a 45-foot building rather than 35, if they're required to step back 10 feet after the first 20 feet? They have to step it back, so it doesn't make the street feel enclosed. It opens it up a little bit more.
Again, I would love to see an actual picture of a building with a step back, because in my mind, I can't picture a building with a step back. Like,
They're usually on much larger structures, like in larger cities.
it seems kind of silly to me, the idea of that.
Like if you ever see a rooftop patio or a rooftop bar on a larger, that's typically what this is, that's a step back, but then they turned into a patio section. Or if it's apartment complex, it's an outdoor space. That's
So like a deck or something.
exactly, but
Okay.
it's for the facade.
Because I look
It
at
goes
this
to the
picture, and it just looks like the building has to go up and then back and then
And that
up,
is, but
and
then that
like-
might be an outdoor patio section for the apartment complex, that maybe this is a mixed-use apartment complex. Where then that's an outdoor patio, that's an eating area to be out in the sun, like that you can hang out, you can have maybe a barbecue out there, sort of thing. But it's not individual, it's common space for those who live in that apartment complex can go to use that. So like a pool or something that was outdoor.
Interesting.
I'd second that with the visual, and then make it from the line of sight that we're trying to find. So whether that's the road or the walkable spaces or whatever that is, to make that picture, to be like, okay, here's one with it and one without. That way we can really dial in on that. It's specifically what you feel appealing about the specific question.
Okay. This is all great feedback.
Yeah, and kind of expanding on that, and finished products are important, because to use Fox Ridge as a good example, I think the kind of trepidation that Fox Ridge created along Halsey while it was being constructed is a very different feel than what you get when you're driving or you're walking past Fox Ridge. Now, when you have a completed building, you have trees, landscaping, and you realize, okay, well, yeah, that's tall, but okay, maybe it's not that bad. Because I know driving past or riding past is like, does it really obscure any more sky than other things that are next to it? Well, maybe not so much. So, but the intermediate things don't mean a whole lot, is I guess my point.
Okay. Do you have a question, Chris? Okay, moving on to then building design. So this is something that we're taking similarly from what was actually submitted in the first plan from Cascadia. Now, the thing is, when we looked at it, it was a good concept, and actually Planning Commission liked some of the design ideas, but it was on a point system, which didn't really sound, it seemed confusing even as a planner to like, oh, you can do, you know, this, and this, and if you make it to this number of points, then you can have an approved, you know, this is 2 points, this is 5 points, this is this point. And then it just made it more confusing, where in most of all of our stuff, and if you're a developer looking at our development code, for example, we have design standards for townhomes, and we have a list of 10 things, you need to do 6 of them. Just pick 6. No points involved, just pick 6. And then show them on your plans, like, oh yeah, they have a 5-foot recessed entry, it has a patio, it has a pillar, that's 3 right there. They have eaves on the sides, it's not flat, that's another, you know, that's one of the 5. So like it made it easier for developers to read and comprehend, and also for example, Planning Commission to review. Because they look at it, they can read the code, they can see, okay, there's these 10 things, I see 6 of them, we're good, they meet that standard. And when staff goes to have a staff report, we can explain, yep, they hit it here, here, and here. Makes it easier. Doing a point system is a little more confusing. So we're bringing it back, and we want to ask the question, what are the top 3 most important elements that you would like to see in buildings along Halsey Street? And so these are, you know, a pedestrian plaza, 15-foot ground floor, outdoor seating, public art mural, we continue to go down, enhanced architecture, my personal favorite, large ground floor windows, also a personal favorite. Those are 2 things that we have currently in our downtown, which I think are massive, because it keeps that kind of smaller feel. You get to look in the windows when you're walking. It looks uniform, it looks great. Exterior lighting, weather protection for seating. Those are the ones that we are initially looking at, and kind of just get an idea. Again, place a dot. We can have a pen there. You know, put put a slash mark, because dots might get a little jumbled in those. So put a hash mark. So this is just data we're trying to collect on what do the people want to, like, what do they like out of these kind of design ideas? Because then we can then pull those into design standards in our code.
So suggestion is, if large ground floor windows is an current option or criteria for our downtown center, somehow call that out and maybe use the image of whoever's doing that, right? Okay. And honestly, I would try and put all those, the criteria for town center, put them together, and maybe even put like a red circle around them, so that your respondents know that these 8-10 things, right? And with examples showing our downtown, these are what we have, these are existing, right? So that they know that when we say that we want to take the downtown look and feel, using those fancy words of yours, extend them down to Halsey, here's the pictures of what we want to extend down to Halsey. So they know that, so we're not having them guess around, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like, what does pedestrian centric mean? Oh, here's a red box. All these things are part of downtown. Yes, I love these things, so.
Okay.
Make it easy for them to get to yes.
question. When you have the 15, thank you, the 15 feet, what is the standard, 15 feet as opposed to what?
Right now, it's typical ground floor with commercial on the bottom, I think is 10 feet.
Okay, and that is short. So is that what the burrito shop is?
Yeah.
They're 10 feet?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I went to Bend and I went with a planner and we toured some buildings, they did the standard of 20 feet, and the higher the elevation of the lower floor led to more high-end retail or restaurant. It's more desirable to have higher.
Yep.
So if that didn't seem to be a priority, then would you go back to 10 feet?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
This is what, we're gonna collaborate this data, and then we have another work session with planning commission
Yeah.
and see what they think.
Yeah, because
this data.
my point is just that they have understanding, what's the importance of 15 feet? Well, retail wise, I know, like when I go to Portland, the higher the ceiling, the more attractive it is to me and the more air, but I don't know if the average person, I mean, that doesn't get a sticker, and so everything becomes 10 feet, which is not as desirable aesthetically or for the consumer, because a lot of Portland, they go higher.
Yep.
Because, yeah, I'm just questioning.
That's a great question.
Shelby, so if they wanted to build something that was 20 feet and our standard was 10, are they able to do that?
I have to review our code, like right off the top of my head, I can't remember if they would require a variance or not. That's, for example, like that picture there is an example of mixed-use commercial ground floor. I can't remember if, without reviewing our code off the top of my head, if it is, I'd have to go back and check. But I'm not sure if they need a variance to do that. Because typically, how just the market for development works is a developer that's doing mixed use, 9 times out of 10, they want to make that first floor as low as they can, because then they can get more apartments up top. Because they're not making as much money on the commercial space, they make all their money on the apartments. And that was initially with the first discussion when Cascadia came with like, hey, in this area, we should allow them to go up to 55 feet because all of our market rate research showed that developers won't build anything unless they won't build mixed use because they're not making any money. So they need to have the extra floor of rental spaces in order to make it cost effective for them to do the ground floor mixed use because they're losing out on that whole ground floor. Even though they're getting money from renters of a business, it's not as consistent as, residential. So that's why that discussion comes in where, you don't have to do a multi-story, but you're gonna have to have a developer that wants to come in and do something really cool and, only do 2 stories of apartments with with first floor being commercial. It takes a certain developer that isn't all just about money. And even though they'll make their money, it's gonna take them longer. So it's business of how long do you want that return until you get your return on your investment.
I think you nailed the visuals on this one.
It makes it's a little bit easier to see.
Yeah.
So take this and do it for the stuff up top.
The only thing, the question, one of my favorite questions is, what am I not asking, or what do I know? What should I know that I don't know, right? When you're talking to somebody, maybe there's a way to incorporate that. Like, what other ideas do you have, or what other things that we not put on here that you have a suggestion for, and then fill out a little comment card or something.
Yep.
Yeah, this is great.
Awesome. Any other questions?
No, just one last
Yes.
point.
No, this is the
Okay,
feedback.
the
on what
15 feet lends itself more to the general public. Okay.
Yep.
The other 10 feet is just less desirable, and it's for the developer. It's for the developer. So put a 10-foot burrito shop. Well, because the problem is, when you go in there, you feel claustrophobic and whatever, and every time I went in, I go, if they just had a little bit more ceiling height, this would be so much more desirable and more date night place. I mean, we got used to going there, it's an option, and I will go there. But it's like, we wanna go and celebrate me home, or do you wanna go into the burrito
That's
show?
a great example.
Yes, yes, and then how many feet is this here? Is that almost 15?
I think this is 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again,
Almost,
they're not, I'm not sure they're gonna know what that means. You know what I mean? It's like, if I didn't take that tour in Bend to see the high-end development they were doing, and why they explain why they did 20 feet on the bottom, and then incorporated also parking on another level within, and said, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Another comment is, the height, right, also is driven by what goes in there to a certain extent. So if you want to have a cocktail bar, speakeasy, you don't want to have 20 feet. It's going to give you a whole different vibe, right? But if you want something that's really going to show off artwork and show off some paintings or structures, or, you know what I mean? And have that airiness, then, you know, restaurant or bakery or something like that. But if you're gonna target a bar or something, then, you know, you're gonna paint the ceiling black anyway, so, you know. We're gonna fit in.
And then just the last one, where should we go? So what areas would it be most important to have new building design and height requirements? And place a dot. This is that kind of that section I was talking about. So the yellow, actually if I scroll down. The yellow is our town center. And our town center overlay. And then so this is kind of the section that we're looking at here. And then this is why we have the two separate boxes. It's because, like I mentioned, we haven't decided yet whether or not we want to continue it past that section and incorporate Edgefield. So we want to hear the public. What do they say? Don't mess with Edgefield. Try to get them on board some of these design standards.
Town center overlay goes all the way out to the existing developments?
Mhm.
All those existing townhouses and stuff are in the overlay?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's quite large.
So, so right now you're just looking at putting stuff in the bigger red box?
Right now, that's our idea, yeah. I mean, of course, we'd love to move on. We've just decided that as of right now, in this early stage, let's wait and see what the public has to say. Knowing how difficult it is to, you know, kind of get Edgefield on board. We also don't want to come up with design standards that would maybe handcuff Edgefield and McMinimans from doing what they do best and making it a destination kind of thing, making it unique, quirky, weird with old buildings and developing, you know, newer stuff. If they're developments, they want to develop maybe, you know, another hotel, potentially apartments. We want them to be able to do it in their way. So that's why we're not sure if we can get them on board. We're like, hey, maybe some of these things where it's not all, because we haven't got into all the nitty gritty on this because this is our first initial discussion. But, you know, if you have a corner lot, having corner entrances rather than side entrances, because that makes it feel a little more appealing, kind of like old school. If you think about that, you're coming in on the corner rather than coming in on each side where the corner is just a corner. That's something Edgefield could still do. That's not handcuffing them from their design stuff. It's just, hey, you're coming in on a corner. You know, things of that nature, or other things that we would then kind of want to massage them into.
So I guess this is where my last little bit of confusion is if then if the eastern end of Halsey is already in the town center overlay, those design standards already exist then, right? So what are we doing?
Not necessarily. So the town center overlay has specific standards, but our downtown has what we call, because we haven't incorporated it, and it's just Appendix A in our development code. That's for our downtown. Used to be a different zone, so that's why it's an appendix to a zone. So Appendix A is specifically to our downtown, and it's within the town center. So technically, if you want to develop anything in our downtown here, I think it's like the first 2 blocks from Halsey up, and then it goes from 257th down to Sandy. If you want to build anything there, you have additional standards that you have to meet. So that's why our downtown has standards, but that doesn't cross 257. Our town center has standards as well. So it's kind of like, I just got done doing a project that is in town center overlay. They're doing a duplex, right? And while reviewing it, my staff report was 23 pages long, because I did not just hit on all the regular development standards, and there's development standards for the zone, for development, plus approval criteria, but then I had to go through all of the town center. That wasn't in the Appendix A section. If I had to go to, if it was in the downtown, then I'd have to go into Appendix A and continue. So there's multiple standards you have to follow. And we're not gonna do an overlay district. These are just gonna be additional. We're gonna put a kind of stamp on it like we do with our downtown. From 257th west to such and such, in that so many feet off of Halsey, that's when you have to have these standards apply, if that makes sense. So while it is in town center, it doesn't have the same requirements as our appendix. And that's where it's
The appendix is only for downtown,
only for downtown.
right? So we
Sure.
got, so we have a Venn diagram. We have a big circle, which is town center.
Yep.
We have a smaller circle, which is downtown. And then this is gonna be a new circle?
This is, kind of a new circle, but it's not really, it's gonna be a new circle where it's gonna overlap downtown, Halsey corridor,
Okay.
but it's also within. So it's gonna be a Venn diagram all within.
Town center.
I need to do some digging into my planning commission.
I don't necessarily want to derail this too much, but just a quick thought. The idea of, you have a current status quo with the current owners of those properties, Edgefield, is one sort of narrative we have, and one sort of thing we're kind of hoping and praying continues. might suggest that it would be prudent to at least put something, maybe a second zone for those properties that kind of really protects some very basic things, but also those touch-ins with them and says, hey, just so you know, you're touching in. We're totally willing to talk with you guys, because we can, at the snap of a city council change, we can, and approved plans, we can make zoning changes to fit what you guys want. I guess, planning for the worst and praying for the best, right? Worst case scenario, I could just throw out a hypothetical situation that they decide to retire and they sell it to a venture capital, and now all of a sudden they have these prime properties with no restrictions or overlays on them, and at that point, you're legally bound to whatever your zones currently say, and without any restrictions, you're toast.
That was exactly the discussion that I had with our consultants. When we were going, both of us were going back and forth. Like, I have a lot of reasons why we should, like a ton of reasons why we should, also a lot of reasons why we shouldn't, and so we're really torn. And I had to pull in our director, like, what do you think? Because I can argue each side, and it's tough, and that's why right now, what we're planning, what we're thinking with this, to go really deep in, set the standards for the areas within town center. Have standards that we aren't approving with this development, with this code update, but have them written as well for the remainder of Halsey. That way we can, throughout, keep trying to contact, like, we have these, we like these, what do you think about these?
And with that best intentions in mind, look, we're trying to protect the city of Troutdale for what they want for these spaces, but at the same time, we want you guys to 100% know that if you're creative and you bring something cool, we'll change that.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the best play, in my opinion, but let's don't get too far off track.
And I think there's a little bit of a transition period. I mean, you want to go from downtown look and feel, town center look and feel, Halsey look and feel, and you don't want to have like a light switch, boom, McMenamin. You want to have like a little transition where, let's say they want to do Salvador Dali droopy, streetlights. You like start with our streetlights, and then one or two, and then you go to your unique, fun little thing, and then same thing on the other side. Goes back to normal. Design cues where they have a lot to say in it, but it's not just a, abrupt switch. I don't know. And it goes. I look back at other, similar design and planning from that one state that I'm used to be from. And that they definitely did that tiered thing, now that I realize it, and you've kind of showed me the pictures and things, I'm seeing that where, when you enter, one property comes to mind, everything's one level, and then the next step is 2, and then you have, some 4-story, apartment buildings back behind there. But it really kind of, as you go into that transition, you're going from a almost agricultural to more and more dense. So it's not so abrupt.
Does Edgefield, have they shown you any proposals, what they would like to do with their area?
They emailed me one right when I started.
Okay.
And it was very simple. Like, I think it wasn't very detailed. It's like, basically drawing, squares on a map. We'd like to do, so I don't know, our building director, or our building manager, Heather, showed me some architectural plans they submitted years ago and never moved through with the actual building permits for them. And she's like, these were cool, but I haven't heard anything about these in like 4 or 5 years. And don't know if they're still doing that, because out there, they're always constantly rethinking of how they want the design, layout, things want to be, so they're always going back to the drawing board.
But that is the the brothers' favorite place, is what they do say.
Yeah.
Is ours, Edgefield Independence.
And that's why they're so unsure whether or not they want to do anything. They do and they don't. They do, and that's why they're going, because they love the feel of it being in, more of a country. It's the only one, most of those are, more in a downtown type setting. And even though they're unique old buildings, they're still in downtown, so that's why they love this one so much. That's why they're constantly back and forth on whether or not they want to develop, they don't want to develop. They're not sure if they want to develop. Maybe they should develop. It's a great opportunity to develop. We don't want to mess with the farmland. So that's why they're always unsure, about it.
I want to say also that back before the GFC, Great Financial Crisis, they had a partnership with D.R. Horton. They brought plans in regarding an amphitheater and then homes for the pig farm. I don't know if anybody recalls that.
I do.
But they've been thinking about that for a lot of years.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you like?
I hope they don't do DR Horton.
Yeah.
I've worked with them a lot. I'll leave it at that.
Well, hey, this is great. So what you were suggesting then is that for the next meeting, we're going to bring in a couple questions, we'll review those, put some stuff together for that, but then also we will be doing this as number 2, like 1 and 2.
Yeah, so I'm also, like, while we're doing our stuff on one side, I'm also gonna be doing this on the other. So that's why I'm hoping we can get people there. And then, like I said, I have the handout that I'll also be passing out to people. Just, it's a 1-pager, has the basic, I don't have it with me, but it has handed out to everyone, has the basic information on there, has my contact information. I'm hoping to get a website up on our website, get a page on our website up, so then I can have a QR code. I'm also, that's the last thing I was going to say on this topic as a whole, is I've got something going in the Champion in September. Obviously we have our First Friday event. I have this handout. I'm thinking of doing a survey that I'd like to have a QR code link to on the website. And also have our webpage up with more information, so that way I can link all these things. Hopefully I can get that webpage up so I can have a little snippet for movies in the park by the 15th. And we have a QR code just flash up there. Hey, check out our webpage, come in. As you'll see on the flyer, it says, come to our CAC meetings if you have questions. As I'm going to be talking about this at every CAC meeting for the next couple of months. And if we have people here that I'd love to hear their insight, because then that's all information, that's the community engagement that we need for this project to make it feel like it's us doing it, not 3 cities. And that's the ultimate goal, is have it be done, designed, built by Troutdale. We want these designs to be by Troutdale, not from a planner, not from another city, not from a consultant. We really want to we want to see the Troutdale in these designs.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all I've got for that topic.
I guess there was something I was wondering about. First to clarify, I actually do know what a dot exercise is. I just didn't realize that's what it was.
People call them a bunch of different things too. I would just call them exercise.
Like you had that question about whether people would be in favor of or opposed to like additional height or something in the first question there. I like more of the format of the question where you had the picture in the box, and I was wondering whether it might be appropriate to have a question where you have 3 pictures in the box and each one would be for the different building heights and which one people are more in favor of.
That's a great question. That's something that we could do. I'm gonna talk with Meg, taking all this feedback and see if we can kind of redesign some of these. Cause they put them together for me, so they have all the, I didn't do them. I didn't have the time. They're doing them for them, we're paying them to do it, so.
Or brew a shop and good coffee.
Exactly, like if we could take some locals and like have the photo, like with the box underneath and be like, you know, like you're saying, but some like maybe some local photos, things like that. I think that'd be a great point, because really those visuals are what's important. Because, you know, a planner mind is more legal than anything, and it doesn't always translate to, that's one of our biggest woes in our profession, is trying to translate to be able to speak to people like a normal person.
Yeah, 'cause I just thought it might be good to gauge, do people like shorter buildings or taller buildings?
Yeah, I think that's great.
A little bit ago, did you say you were hoping they don't want to do like a beer garden, or what was that you said?
No, that was something with, about DR Horton. I'm not gonna say too much more. That's just a personal opinion. So, thank you all. I'm gonna take all the great feedback, really appreciate it. If you have any other feedback by our next meeting, please feel free to either email me, let me know. And then, yeah, we'll be ready for these, for First Friday. Of course, we're meeting before that, so we got.
And I guess it's your turn again for staff.
I guess it's my turn for staff.
Hopefully we'll have time, but would anybody be opposed to, and maybe you all know people in the community that are business owners that might want to donate towards the prize or get a basket thing, enter to win, fill out the survey, and enter to win sort of thing. Would anybody be opposed to me going and asking a few people? Wanted to add that to the booth?
I don't have an issue.
Go for it.
And yeah, if anybody else knows any downtown business owners.
We'll see. I know Marley has done some of that stuff in the past, so I'll reach out to Marley and see if she knows
If
anything.
she knows anybody that's like an easy go-to.
Yeah, I know,
$20 or something like.
yeah, I mean, good coffee,
Sign on the table that promotes
Yeah.
the business. They're gonna get somebody that's gonna come in and it's worth cheap advertising.
we've had a couple of the, like Lolo's has donated things in the past, gift cards in the past. We've had people who donate gift cards a lot of times, so. I'll reach out to her and see if, if we had to pay for those or if they donated them, or I can't remember what it was, so. And like I said, we do have funding for these types of things in our grant budget. When we did this grant, we went out for 60,000, and usually primarily knowing we already talked to Meg before this, they said that's how much it's gonna cost. We were awarded 65. So I do need to use the other 5. We can't leave any money on the table.
Then that being said, Breezy Poland, I think was her name. We had that one event at the summer down at Coronado, and we had prizes that we were giving away, like kids' toys prizes, and there was some activity. Do you remember what that was? We had a little swimming pool, we were like doing like little kids fishing thing or something like that. What was it? And then we were able to give away a bunch of kids' prizes. So if there's money in the budget to like somebody brought up like kids' activities. That's the idea, if there's some sort of like kids' activities to bring the parents over, and then maybe like some sort of prize or candy toy thing for the kids, that'll bring people over. That'll get the parent, that'll take care of the kids and babysit them while we get to talk to the parents.
Along those same lines, the plant hanger brackets we have downtown that have the trout in them, it would be really nice if I guess we can't buy those anywhere. You know, Jonah goes to somewhere and the guy makes them when we need them made. But man, it would be nice to have a few of those laying around that we could toss them as a door prize or something like that. You know, if we get a couple extra somehow.
Troutdale.
The little brackets they use to hang the baskets up from the light posts, there's a trout in there, right? And Jonah has some guy make them, but I guess they're not
available to the community.
Yeah, they're all custom made.
Yeah, so if there's a way that we could maybe get a handful of those that, to hand them out, I mean, it's really kind of a cool thing, and if you're a big fan of Troutdale, then this is kind of a coup if I were to come up with it. Get lots of good husband points.
See it on your army right now.
Exactly. So staff communication.
Yep, staff communications. So a lot going on right now. Currently with me, I have I think I've mentioned it before, a type 3 conditional use going to planning commission in September. That's for the child care facility off 257th. They've extended it again. They extended it at the September meeting. They were waiting on a road rules variance from Multnomah County. I think it was a variance to be completed. To submit they were waiting for their engineer to submit a trip generation report to Multnomah County to see if they need to go through that process, given the extra trips that are going to be coming off of 257. So we extended it just to September to allow more time. So that'll be going to Planning Commission in September for approval. Recently just approved a duplex that was, again, in town center area. Received one public comment on that. So we did receive one. That's good. I love to see them, whether they're positive or not. It's good to see that people are reading their mail. And then I have 2 type 1 applications. One is for a parking lot modification, that's right down here. And then the other one is for Apollo Plumbing. They did some work in the back of their property that wasn't approved, so we're doing a retroactive permit, just so that way they're all up to speed. That's been in conjunction with, they changed their acronym now, but it used to be MCDD, but now it's Urban Flood Water Quality something. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's a really long name and the acronym doesn't make any sense. So that was in conjunction with them, so they finally have gotten all that work done. That's been about a year in the making for them to get all that information in. I've had a couple calls this week on some properties for a couple different developments. Nothing set in stone. One property that's in our UPA is looking at selling and potentially annexing into the property or into the city. That's in the far south of Troutdale. Again, very early on. Nick is working on a couple of projects. Can't remember off the top of my head. I know the main one that he's working on is, for those of you who are on HLC or know about what's going on HLC, is the historic district. So he's going to Planning Commission in September for recommendation to City Council for the code language. And then we're moving through with that, as well as we're working on, when we did our town center boundary, we never officially did a map amendment. So our map looks different than what it reads in our code. On not all of maps, but on some maps. So we have to go through the official map amendment. So Eric is working on that, and that'll be wrapped up. It was actually pointed out to us by Metro. So we'll be wrapping that up by the end of the year. Trying to think, again, just a reminder that community engagement plan that I sent out, again, I'll send it over to you to review. We'll be discussing that at next meeting. So next meeting will probably be another good heavy meeting. And we will have Erica here along with the consultant team to present on that engagement plan. Because again, they really want to have CAC involved with the community engagement aspect. So we are really looking to lean on this committee a lot to really help us with our community engagement for a lot of these grants. Because I feel like CAC has been overlooked in the past, and we want to utilize this committee to the full extent that we possibly can, which I think is great. I'm trying to think of other quick updates. The trail is still underway down there. It's had a couple of minor mishaps with the development team, not getting some inspections. So our building team is working on that with them, and they're going through the process. So they're still, aiming for the complete date, I believe it was September or October. So they're still on pace, so. But yeah, that's all I can think of right off the top of my head. I didn't have time to put everything into a list. I was focusing on the grant stuff mainly. If there's any questions and things that are going on around.
Quick question.
Ask me.
The property across, you go to the RV park from, past the visitor center, then you go in. That property that's to the left, the 5-ish acres, it's pending sale?
Yes.
Do you know who's buying that?
So we've had a couple of different conversations. Both myself and Nick have been contacted about that property. Someone had contacted me initially about wanting to purchase it, to put homes on. Virtually impossible. It's all VECO and floodplain. Especially with our new floodplain standards, very difficult. So the last I heard is when I was out on vacation, Nick had spoken to Metro, and they're planning on purchasing it and turning it into a green space and bringing it back to revitalizing the habitat restoration.
How would they give access to that then? How would they get access to that green
For
space?
the green space, it's not going to be a park.
Okay.
It's supposed to, it's restoration, so natural habitat.
Historically, it actually has a land back option as well.
And that was part of the other issue, which virtually impossible to put homes back there because access. Technically, their access is off that northern bridge. That's not to proper weight and things of that nature. So that would all have to be redone. And then that goes into the, it gets really deep and muddy from there. And then let alone just the environmental constraints that are on the site. So if I talk to someone, it's like, hey, what if I purchase the home? Can I live there? Yes. If you want to do anything to the home, you're going to have to go through a slew of permits. It's not going to be worth your while. Which is unfortunate. I hate being the bearer of bad news, but really that site, what is there, that's all they can do. Right when we started, Multnomah County or Metro, I can't remember which one, did something similar with the property to the south that was just on the border. They bought a home, demoed it, turned it back into natural habitat. So that was in floodplain. Got a floodplain permit, demo permit, boom, replanted it with natural species. So that's what's gonna be going on there, I think. Yeah. That's at least last I
It's
heard.
not a trailer?
Anything new on
It's flat, it can be a
the
trailer.
old city hall building?
I have not heard anything on that in quite some time. I know they're still building it out. They're still under contract with the city to finish the construction so that they can sell it. Or find a brewer. They want to find a brewer. They're still working on finding a brewer to come into that space. But I have not heard anything about progress or anything in that nature in several months. So that must mean it's good, because I was hearing about it weekly. So if I'm not hearing about it, it must be a good thing.
And then what about the building that's on Buxton, that's just a couple blocks up the,
Oh, the one right over, the one that's kind of kitty corner?
is it housing with?
Yeah, so that was approved prior to me being here. That was done through Middle Housing, so it's going to be 4 townhomes off of 3rd Street. And then there's going to be one, they all have a shared drive off Buxton with tuck under parking for the 4 and then a single townhome in the back. So it's 5 total on those lots with, they're doing 0 lot line for 2 townhome, 0 lot line. And then one back here, and then there's gonna be parking.
And when's it supposed to be done?
They've had a couple of revisions. I had to go out there last week to discuss height, because they were very confused on how they measure height. So I had to go out there and explain to them. I don't know if you're a developer, you should know that, but anyway. I went out there and explained to them their height, so now they had to change up their roof. So they had to submit for some revisions, but they're planning on trying, they're framing now, so they're hoping to get them done as soon as they possibly can. But yeah, once I got out there and explained it to them, it made total sense, like, okay, yeah, we'll just have to adjust their rafters, so that therefore, and then that was a field revision, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks for them to get approval, and then they can continue with the roof, so.
That was approved a long time ago, they just didn't
It took them a while. They went to submit, long story short, it was approved before I got here. They went to submit building permits. They never went through their final plat process. So then I made them go through the final plat process, which is a quick turnaround, but there was a couple of issues. So we figured those all out along with Public Works, because they actually got some variances through Public Works for setbacks as well due to utilities. And then we got that settled. So once that was fully recorded with the county, then they could submit their building permits. And then the building permit process takes off. And so now they've been approved to actually start the construction and framing and earthwork and things of that nature.
Anything new about Move?
Last I heard, we recently got a call that the lawsuit has been finalized, and now they're wondering whether, not Move, just the contractor, or the owner of the building, wants to know where the permits are at, because he wants to finish, he's now still working with the contractor, the original contractor, to get those permits back up and running, to finish it off and try to sell it to another gym. So, but the lawsuit with the contractor and Move is done. Move is officially no longer going in. So now they're trying to finish it and sell or find another gym to rent or purchase.
And Taste of Village or?
Taste of Village is underway. So they're doing their internal conversion. They're moving right along. They had a lot of work to do in the basement area. And so I haven't heard anything negative. They're on top of their stuff. So they're moving right along with Taste of Village for that to be the hotel and restaurant. And that's one where used to, when you walk by, they didn't have windows. Those windows were there. They boarded up and sided over.
No way, really?
So they're bringing back those original windows, floor to, floor, I think it's 2 feet off ground and then up. So that's what the original was. They wanted to keep all that, bring it all back. Have a beautiful view right into the restaurant.
Awesome. And what's going on with the repainted?
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
It's getting late.
Out of curiosity with the Move thing, so if they sell it to somebody else, does it have to be another gym or?
No, they just want to finish it out because it's pretty far along. Like most of the gym stuff, the locker rooms, all that stuff's pretty much done. Just it hasn't had final inspection. The only thing that wasn't fully completed is the stuff that Move was going to do in the pool. So Move is going to go and do the painting and the final steps. But as far as the bones of it is already set up as a gym, except for the pool has to be finished, and they just need final inspections on everything. So that's why the owner just wants to. How much further does it have to? What does he have to do to finish it off to have it be bare bones set up for a nice gym? Because like I said, locker rooms are done. So they already have lockers in there, all the sinks, all that stuff's already done. So they don't want to then have to rip all that out and turn it into something different. You were saying, City Hall there? That's not the case. It would fit all of us. So he just, since it already has the bones for it, just wants to go ahead and finish it off so then find a gym that would move in there. So he doesn't have to redo all the work and prolong rent.
You probably have a nice city hall and have a pool for break time now.
That's what I was thinking. We have a restaurant for children's events, and I don't know. That's what some of us were talking about. It'd be great. We could have all the children's events there, at the pool, all the classes. But
Instead, you're getting a church.
instead we're getting a church. That not all of us would be, but that's fine.
Church, what do you mean?
It's better than our situation currently is. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Community church.
Right up the hill here.
Yeah, the one that's right up the hill, what's the Troutdale Community Church?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that congregation bought or is buying the chapel that's up on Cherry Park.
Right.
So the city bought the one on.
And the idea is we'll be able to get some of us back together that are down here and then eventually hopefully expand because there's a large
There's
parcel
it's a big lot.
to be able to in the future expand and build off that to where that we can all hopefully then be in one place again. Probably not Public Works because they have a nice little building, but they're outgrowing it too, so.
So where that church is gonna become like a city hall type thing?
City Hall and admin.
Which church?
With a steeple?
It's off of,
Kinda cool.
off Buxton, yeah, right up here.
It's right up the road.
Like, Troutdale Community Fellowship or something like that, I can't remember.
The one that's on Buxton, not.
Yeah, correct.
Still close.
Still close. Still close to downtown. We wanted it to be downtown, we went through a lot of different stuff.
My question was about the plumbing place that's next to, I saw it got painted. It's looking really cool, almost like retro Phillips 66.
So that is the project that I'm currently working on. It's type 1, it's a mod. They went ahead and did their gravel or paved their driveway and striped it without permits. So that's why we're just doing a retroactive. It's going to be approved. It's very simple. But we're going through that right now. So I have it out for comment right now.
Who's going in?
So it is, I can't remember the exact name of the development, but it's going to be an event space and a quinceañera dress shop. So it's gonna kind of be both. So retail on one side, event space for up to 100 people on the other.
Is there a garage in the back, a detached garage too?
I can't remember.
2 buildings, I think?
It's kind of one large structure that is, so like the event space will be if you're facing it from, if you're looking up the hill from Columbia River Highway, the left side will be the event space, the right side will be the retail office area as well.
Where is this at?
Right down here, right off of,
Kendall,
Kendall,
opposite corner from the oldie pub, or,
right across Kendall from Yule Pub.
Okay.
So an event space.
That is a good question.
Eternal question in trouble.
Well, I think the thing is they're planning on trying to use shuttles or something along those lines. But since they're within the CFAC located areas for event spaces, they're not required to have.
Yeah, I don't get this whole parking thing.
Yeah.
It seems like that's always getting the, like, disregarded kind of.
It's not disregarded, it's definitely considered, it's just whether or not we can require it or not. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, whether it's required or not, I feel like we still need it.
In our development code, and that's developers, we always recommend, like, if they aren't required to have parking, because some aren't required. And if you look at our development code, in town center, in certain locations, parking standards, 0. You don't need them. It says parking standards do not apply. However, whenever a developer comes in, we always recommend, hey, here's our parking standards list. You might, like, if they don't require, it's like, oh, you're not required to have parking. However, we strongly recommend that you follow this list. And that's all we can do per state guidelines.
Well, quinceañeras, they're not old enough to drive, so they should.
So we should be all right on that side.
Exactly.
How many quinceañeras have you been to?
One.
Okay, well,
And yep, that's all I've got.
All right, well, then with that, we move on to committee member comments where we can each take turns saying pretty much whatever we want. So let's start with Tiffany.
It's been interesting.
Welcome. And we'll go to Will. I might suggest we see if Paul had any comments or thoughts on anything we talked about tonight.
He's still awake.
Maybe give it like a count to 5 or 10, and
All you awake?
if he doesn't have anything, then
Well, wiggle your ears if you can hear us.
Oh, I'm still here. Nothing to add.
Thank you.
so Will. Just the usual stuff. Thanks again, Dakota. Really appreciate your support. And welcome. And congratulations to the new chair and vice chair.
Ditto. It's been fun. Looking forward to hearing more from you, which I'm sure we will.
Good seeing everybody. Great conversations. Congratulations. Congratulations. That'll be awesome.
Adrian, sorry.
Just a reminder for people who are interested, our next iteration of the Troutdale Game Day is Saturday morning, and the location has changed. We are not at Glen Otto anymore, we are next door at the Parks and Rec room. And last time I talked to Molly, we were intending on continuing that through the fall at that location. So there's that. Hours? Saturday is 9 to 12:30. I think it's on the Facebook event, you can verify there, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Also, I appreciate everybody's vote of confidence on the chairmanship. I think you're all crazy, but I appreciate the vote of confidence nonetheless.
Welcome. Thank you, Dakota, for all you do for us, and nice to see everybody, and thank you for the vote of confidence. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Congratulations, thank you so much. I value everything you comment or contribute to this Citizens Advisory Committee. Welcome, and I do need to say that I spoke a little bit about it at the last City Council meeting. I'm extremely troubled by us not providing parking spaces to people who rent the Sam Cox building. We've been incredibly steeped in community with Sam Cox and Glen Otto and all the others, and the history of that piece of property and what it meant. That's why my husband and I always provided the Summerfest and a whole bunch of nonprofits, Alcohol Anonymous, parties, and whatever, for parking. We always wanted to provide and help the community for extra parking that was needed without cost for those type of events. And for us to only provide 4 parking spaces and not coming up with a creative way for people to gather, the tribe might be figuring out a different, not to go there again. And I see what's going on and such, and it's I think that should be a conversation. I will probably bring it up to the city council, because I don't think they really had time to think about it. It was kind of wrapped in a package of, should we try the parking fees or not? And I know that's work in progress, and that's gonna be evolving, and we're gonna learn. But I think it burdens my heart so much to just say 4 parking spaces, wedding, oh, get a shuttle. Shuttle from where? And then how do you coordinate that and just make it that beautiful space that doesn't get used much? Anyway, it's just very concerning to me, and I hope we get to have a discussion about that and make that look at that. And thank you for your presentation and informing us about the Halsey Streets. Thank you for all your hard work on that as well, and wanting to let Troutdale be Troutdale. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll do adjourn.
We gotta let him talk.
Sorry, our acting chairperson talked about it.
I would just say it's been an interesting meeting, and congratulations to Adrian and Shelby, and welcome to Tiffany. I look forward to seeing how things go in the future, and it looks like we now have a project / action item that said, first one says City of Troutdale public notice requirement.
Yeah, that's just stuff that as we get through, we're gonna continue to work on those action items. Those are just placeholders for as we continue. We're gonna keep moving on.
Ongoing to-do list.
Yeah.
Well, if you like, can you explain a little more?
Yeah, so that's just at the end. It's a placeholder. We discussed that at the last meeting, is to have our action items on the agenda, constantly on the agenda, stay there, so that way we know when we check one off, we'll move the next one up to actually be a discussion item. Otherwise, we keep our list of action items on the bottom there. So they're not actually a part of the agenda, they're just there as a placeholder.
But they will eventually be on a future.
Exactly, as we move through items, they're gonna bump up to discussion items one at a time. So we keep working through them.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, I guess I would ask, do we have a motion to adjourn, but it sounds like Will has one.
Okay, now I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
We're overruled.